All attendees are in listen-only mode.
So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the AHP Dementia Webinar. And today is Monday, the 1st of June, and this is the first in our week of webinars during Dementia Awareness Week. My name's Wendy Chambers, and along with Alison McKean, we're your background hosts today. We're joined by a panel of speakers today. We have Henry Simmons, Chief Exec from Alzheimer's Scotland, introducing the topic, and he'll pass on to Emma Ingram and Helen Cronin from NHS Grampian. As an audience today, we've got over 200 people on the line from across Scotland, from across sectors, and also hopefully some people in communities supporting, everybody supporting people with dementia, but maybe some families living with dementia as well, so welcome. I've got two items of housekeeping, and the first one is that we very much want to hear from you, our audience. So please, during the webinar, as your thoughts and your questions pop up, can you post those to the panel, and we have a question and answer at the end. So to put a question, if you hover your mouse across your screen just now, some icons will pop up on the right, and you'll see a speech bubble with a question mark in that. If you click on that, you'll be able to type your questions in, and Alison will put those to Emma and Helen at the end. And the last thing is that the webinar is being recorded, and you'll receive an email link to this tomorrow. So without further ado, over to Henry.
Thank you, Wendy, and it's a wonderful privilege for me to introduce this topic today, and especially so many of you throughout Scotland. If you don't mind, I'll just take a few moments just to talk about the Dementia Awareness Week in general. I mean, we've obviously very sadly not been able to run our usual conference and bring the community together and really engage in as much innovative practice discussions and as much focused and energetic discussions as we would like. So it's simply wonderful to have this opportunity to see so many people come together on a really important topic. We're dedicating Dementia Awareness Week really in memory of everyone who has passed as a result of coronavirus, and indeed their families who never get a chance to say a proper farewell. And it's poignant actually in terms of the topic of this discussion, this conference, because it's about using technology. And I think for some people, technology was the only lifeline that they had to almost like, being close to people as they passed. And it's still the only opportunity that people are getting to really receive support at the present time. So it's truly wonderful that we've probably been progressing so fast and so well within Scotland, across this community and others, to really learn how best to use technology to improve the lives of people living with dementia and their families. Within Alzheimer's Scotland, we've been working with yourselves and many partners across Scotland to try and ensure that people can make the most of what we would describe as citizens-based technology that's out there, that's readily available, that people can really, access without too much support. But what we've also been developing is a process of assessing that technical opportunity alongside people's needs and understanding, and developing if you like, almost a digital prescription for people that can really maximise their use of technology and indeed make sure that no one's been left behind with this. So I think as a AHP community throughout Scotland, your support and your skill set and your coming together with this, particularly at this point in time during Dementia Awareness Week, is wonderful. So we're privileged to be part of it. My personal view is that probably in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll look back and just think about all the missed opportunities we had from the past 5 or 10 years. But now's the time to start changing that. Now's the time to make sure that we use every bit of technology, every opportunity, to make it a therapeutic opportunity for people as well as a very person-centred opportunity. I'm sure that's what you're going to hear about today, and I'm sure that alongside the other sessions that are going to take place from the AHP community across Dementia Awareness Week is just going to be marvellous. A huge thank you to you. I think that the support from this community to people with dementia and their families and carers, your willingness to embrace technology, the social media platform, to really, to drive connectivity forward is remarkable. And I think this community in particular is excelling at connectivity. And as the famous report, Connecting People, Connecting Support, has always talked about. That for me is something that you should all be incredibly proud of, and I think a wonderful contribution to the dementia community, not just throughout Scotland but throughout the world. So it's a pleasure to have had this opportunity to introduce the session, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have a wonderful Dementia Awareness Week, and I hope together we can just continue to make sure that every person living out there with dementia and their families never ever feels on their own. They know we're here for them, and they start using all aspects of technology to engage with that too. So thank you very much, Wendy, and I'll listen to the rest of the session with great interest. Take care now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. I think that's our cue to start.
Yeah. Thank you very much there, Henry. So before we get started, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Emma Ingram, and I'm one of the occupational therapists that works in NHS Grampian. And joining me today is Helen Cronin. She's also an occupational therapist. Wendy asked us to do a quick poll, so hopefully coming up on your screen just now should be a wee poll, and if we're just wanting to know who's all in the room today, so if you could click on from what area you're from, that would be. So hopefully it's working.
Yes, this is Wendy. People seem to be still putting their answers in.
Okay.
And that's it. So I'll close the poll and share that with you now.
Okay. So we've got a big turnout from the allied health professionals today with 58%. We've got some of our health and social care workers with us today, third sector, and some people that's living with or supporting people with dementia. So we've got quite a lot from the health professional background, but a few others that's maybe living with dementia too, so that's good to see. So we'll just get started on our webinar. So yeah, so like I was saying, we're here today to explain how we've been using voice-controlled intelligent assistants as part of our clinical practice, particularly when providing self-management and early intervention. We will also be discussing today how we have developed this into a programme during our time working from home during the COVID-19. Like I said earlier on, we are occupational therapists working within the older adult mental health service in NHS Grampian. Within NHS Grampian, mental health services are designed that people aged between 18 and 65 are seen by the adult mental health team, and individuals over 65 or those with a diagnosis of a dementia are seen by the older adult mental health team. Within Aberdeenshire, there are 5 occupational therapists, and our service remit is to provide assessment and therapeutic intervention to adults aged over 65 with a functional illness and organic illness. And this is to aid their diagnosis, support individuals to learn new skills, support individuals to maintain pre-existing skills, inform care needs, and also to support individuals to adapt their environment to increase their overall independence. So next slide, I think, Helen.
I'll just introduce myself as well while I'm sitting here.
Yeah, you better do that, Helen.
I'm Helen Cronin, as the slide said, and I'm also an occupational therapist who works with Emma. And Emma's given a really lovely introduction of our service. And I suppose just to add to that, that myself and Emma cover what's on the map there. So right up the northeast of the Shire, so Banff, Fraserburgh and Peterhead. So we're working in a real rural location as well. We travel a lot out to see our patients at home, but obviously at the moment that's not happening. So a lot of the project we're going to speak about today was starting in the community, but it's kind of been fast tracked during this COVID time. So we're looking forward to sharing where we've got anyway with it at the moment.
Okay. So the plan for the next 40 minutes is to explain how we've been using voice-controlled intelligence assistants as part of our clinical practice, particularly when providing self-management and early intervention. We plan on providing background information on how the project started and how it's been developed prior to COVID-19 and during COVID-19. But first, we've got another wee poll for you. So we were just wanting to know people's experiences of using voice-controlled intelligent assistants. So does anyone at the moment use these? So that's like your Amazon Echo, your Google Home, your Siri. So the poll should just be popping up just now.
Oh, just give me a minute. I'm looking for the poll.
We're working with all this new technology.
Yeah, this is a new part of the webinar. So it's on your screen now. So if you could just, if you've used this type of devices before, if you could just either say yes or no, just to give us an idea. So about half of you, so that's quite even. So half of you maybe know about them or have used them, and the other half really doesn't have much experience or knowledge. So that's quite good.
Great. Okay. We move on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to start us off, I'm going to give a kind of brief overview of OT, and actually just picking up on the point from the poll, you might hear us speak about Amazon Echo more through the presentation, but that's the kind of technology, voice control technology we found people had at home, but we're not endorsing one or saying that it's better than the other. It's just what we found people had at home. We're interested in all the different types of this technology. And I suppose to set the scene and set a background on this, just to give an overview of OT. So myself and Emma are mental health occupational therapists, and I know different OTs have different roles, I suppose, and there's, people associate OTs with different things. But for us as mental health OTs, we kind of play a critical role in helping people of all ages, and are, in mine and Emma's job, mostly over 65s or people with a diagnosis of dementia, to kind of overcome the effects of their dementia or disability. And this involves us doing assessment and offering therapy to support the individual to continue to engage in everyday tasks, or as we know them, occupations or activities. And engaging in these tasks, engaging in what we engage in every day, can change when someone has changes in their memory or has a diagnosis of dementia. And how we support someone to do that is to kind of introduce compensatory measures to support the individual to remain as independent as possible. And for the purposes of this program, we're speaking about using technology to help people overcome some difficulties. And when we speak about kind of activities, we're talking about activities of daily living and instrumental activities of daily living. And changes in these normally kind of reflect problems with physical or cognitive health. So changes in memory can affect how people do the things that they would like to do. And we often speak about activities of daily living, but for this project, we're speaking about instrumental activities of daily living. So instrumental activities of daily living are the more complex activities that we do, such as managing finances, using transportation, shopping, house cleaning. And for this project, we're really speaking about this level of activities. Now, activities of daily living, so you can kind of, if you can read the screen and read the picture, is more about personal hygiene, continence management, dressing, feeding. And then kind of a level above them is the instrumental activities of daily living, as I said, not to repeat it, but just to kind of let people know it's more the managing your routines, doing your shopping, managing your household. And this is really where this technology project is focused on. People who are noticing changes in memory but are still at home, maybe with a little bit of support, but often quite independent. And that's what we'll kind of be focusing on throughout.
Okay, thank you. So just to give you a bit of background information, within NHS Grampian, we've been involved in delivering self-management programmes to people with dementia for a number of years. One of these being the home-based memory rehab programme, which some of you listening may already know about. But I'll just give a brief overview of home-based memory rehab. It's an evidence-based OT early intervention for people who have a diagnosis of dementia. It was first established by Mary McGrath in Belfast, then the Dumfries and Galloway OT service adopted this model, which then led it to being piloted across 11 health boards in Scotland with the support of Alzheimer's Scotland. The home-based memory rehab aims to support people with early stage dementia and to provide them with advice and strategies to compensate for memory difficulties affecting their everyday functioning. Using a cognitive rehabilitation approach, the programme is delivered within the person's home. Part of the programme explores the use of memory aids, for example, medication reminders, checklists, alarms, and how these can be used to support someone to engage in their activities of daily living. So the work that we are going to speak about later on is all started with the home-based memory rehab. And just like everything else, we need to ensure our practice is meeting with government and local policy. So some of the policy that has underpinned our project is the Connecting People, Connecting Support of Alzheimer's Scotland, and a local policy that's just coming into Grampian just now is a digital health and care, a strategy for Grampian. There's a lot of other policies that helps guide our practice, but we thought we'd just share a few of the pinnacle ones. Okay. So how did we get started? So when doing the home-based memory rehab with our patients, we were finding that some people were having difficulty embedding some of the strategies, and these difficulties were not due to their cognitive impairment, but due to either vision, difficulties reading and writing. And around this time, when home-based memory rehab was happening, we attended a workshop at Royal Cornhill Hospital that was run by Alzheimer's Scotland, which highlighted the potential use of technology which is readily available. So some of us started looking more into it, using the voice controlled assistant, so like your Amazon Echo, Google Home and Siri. And we were also finding as well that some of our patients already had these devices in their home. However, they weren't being used efficiently, so they were maybe just being used to listen to music, but not actually being used to help them support, engage them in their activities of daily living. So we thought, right, let's give this a bash. We will try using the Amazon Echo to embed some of the home-based memory rehab strategies for the people that we know were having difficulty embedding the paper-based. So that's what we did. It was a bit of trial and error, and we just thought, right, let's have a go. But I do just want to kind of point out, when working on this project, we have used the Amazon Echo, as we found this device was the most common device found in people's home. And just a wee disclaimer, like NHS Grampian and Aberdeenshire Health and Social Care Partnership does not endorse one project, as there are several options, but as part of this project, this is what we've been commonly using.
And I suppose just to add in there, Emma, to give us was a timeline, which I should have done at the start, just saying this probably started maybe about 2 years ago, kind of really slowly, this kind of starting to use technology with people at home with home-based memory rehab. And the later bit is what we're speaking about, what's fast track to help people during COVID. So it was a really slow kind of process to start with, and it's kind of been going on over the past 1.5 to 2 years.
So up in your screen just now, there's a wee case study that's been put up. So this is with a gentleman that I've worked with, just to kind of give you a feel of how we've been using these devices. So this gentleman's in his 70s. He's got a mild cognitive impairment, but he also has anxiety. He has dyslexia. So when we started doing, we did all of our OT assessments and found that he was having difficulties carrying out his instrumental activities of daily living. However, trying to get him to embed these paper-based strategies was really difficult because of the barrier between the reading and the writing. And he already had Amazon Echo in his home. So we thought, right, let's give this a go. So he was forgetting his medication at times, and we tried going down the traditional route of doing some kind of relaxation therapy so he could do it on his own, but that was proven very difficult to do just because of his dyslexia. So what we set out to do is we set some prompts onto his device and using and looking at his daily routine and what he does round about certain times. We use the Amazon Alexa to put in memory prompts. So at say 6 o'clock, it would come on saying, have you taken your supper time medication? And then in the evening, because this was the time where he got really quite anxious, he would go to his bed, he had difficulty switching off, and we set it up so when he goes into his bed at night, he just has to say, good night, Alexa, and this automatically would start relaxation therapy with him and just clear his mind and get him to have a good night's sleep. So for this gentleman, it really did have a really overwhelming positive impact on his overall kind of like his confidence, and he just kind of felt like he wasn't a burden on his family anymore, because he was getting really quite upset and anxious that he didn't want to rely on his family, and he wanted to be as independent for as long as possible.
And I suppose just to add into that case study, we had a few other cases that we used it around kind of the Northeast, and some of the feedback that we had from that is using kind of the paper-based strategies and the kind of technology. It helped people to kind of learn new skills. It also helped people to maintain skills. So a few people that I had used it with and went out were becoming really frightened because they were maybe going to the shop and buying the same thing, or forgetting medication, which was making them very anxious and very worried that they might need to get carers. So putting this kind of technology strategy in at the kind of the right time really helped them kind of maintain their skills, and it gave them kind of an increase in confidence. And one of the ladies fed back to me, is like, I now feel more responsible for myself. I don't need to depend on anyone, and that helps to reduce my anxiety. Another bit of feedback was from carers, that when someone was asking the same question a lot, that they often encourage the person with the memory changes or the dementia to go to the Alexa or whichever technology they were using and ask that question, because the technology never gets frustrated. So it reduced to kind of some of the stresses on the family or a carer that was going in. And it also offered the carer reassurance, because they were able to support them by maybe supporting them to set up the shopping list or the reminders to take the medication, so they didn't feel like they had to offer prompts. We also saw the potential in the community. We did it with quite a few people in the community to maybe delay care. Now, we're not at all saying that this is a replacement for care, because it's definitely not. But it's the potential to maybe delay it with things like medication and offering prompts, that people were saying, oh, I can actually, now I feel more confident to take my medication because I have this prompt and it's coming at the right time. So there was kind of little bits of evidence that this actually might be something really, really great for certain people at a certain stage in their journey to kind of use this technology. And from that, there was a poster developed, and it went to kind of the quality event, and it was all about the people that we had seen, how we'd used the kind of memory strategies at home, and how the technology was now starting to support that. And I got really, really good feedback. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add in there about the poster, Emma.
No, I think it was around this time we thought, right, we need to start using this a wee bit more, and then we kind of just thought, right, we'll start exploring this to see how it can complement and enhance the home-based memory rehab stuff that we were already using.
Yeah, so that kind of leads us on to the next slide, I suppose.
Yeah.
It was quite I suppose informal, and we would go out and maybe somebody would have it, but we thought there's a lot of potential here, a lot of potential. We're both very interested in technology, both very interested in early intervention, so there's a lot of potential to really join it up and see, actually, is this something feasible, and is it something that as OTs can really get our teeth into. So we decided to, as a service, to really start developing this kind of area of work and maybe do a bit of study around it. So this is all again pre-COVID. But in November 2019, Emma was accepted onto the NMAP digital course. I don't know if you want to say a little bit about that, Emma.
Yeah. So I'm currently on part of cohort 13 program. So the program is designed for health and care professionals to develop their leadership skills when developing and delivering digital health and care within our service area. So, and a lot of the things I've learned on the program has helped kind of push this project forward, like looking at how we're doing things, how we approach things. So it's really helped move this project on forward.
Yeah, I would agree. It's really pushed us to move it on, and all the ideas you've come back with. And from that, we decided, because we were rolling it out, as I said, informally in the community, then to apply for a bit of funding, which we were lucky to get a small amount to roll it out, to test the feasibilities in the shires, and that kind of approval came kind of at the end of January. So we knew we'd have kind of Emma's digital expertise, and also kind of a team who's really interested in a bit of money to start rolling it out. So started to do kind of some informal training with the staff, and kind of make guides about, this is how we can roll it out, this is what we should do, this is the type of people in the community who might benefit from this sort of intervention. A staff survey was done to check, do people use technology? Do they use it in their practice? And we also kind of got involved with the librarian to see, is there much literature out there? What's been done before? What can we learn from this, and how can it be developed? And actually, what we'd found is there's not much been done. There's actually very little been done in this kind of area. So it's something quite new and exciting. We began a kind of chat with kind of governance and quality improvement about how we kind of frame our service around some of this work and how we take it forward and what's the best way. So we were really getting traction, really getting going with things, and then obviously COVID-19 happened, as you can see there on the slide, and it kind of temporarily stopped us in our tracks. But we were all, as a mental health service, obviously advised to work from home, support our clients, support their clients and the people we work with over kind of all this technology that we've been given. So we decided to kind of focus our time over the past 6 to 8 weeks on really developing it, and actually developing it in a way that we can use it during COVID. So what happened was, from all that information we had there, we developed guides, kind of user-friendly guides, which are based around kind of the home-based memory rehab information and what we know as OTs can support people at home. And we'll show you, you can kind of see the guides there, but it looks at a kind of routine, structured daily planning. We'll speak about it when we do the intervention. And the aim of these guides is that we could send them out to the person with home. And if we had funding, we would also send out the technology and then support them over Attend Anywhere to embed these strategies in. We would also do our assessments and outcome measures, which we had to really re-review and look at our screening process, because this is all going to be done now from distance. And we started again to liaise with other NHS services like information governance, the innovation hub, and different services that could actually help us kind of get this new kind of project off the ground to support people virtually.
And if it's okay, I'd just like to add in, like with technology nowadays, maybe 10, 15 years ago, everyone, when you got a new piece of technology, you were given a manual on how to use it. So nowadays, you're just given the device and you have to go online. However, for some of our staff group and some of our patients, this is not always possible. So the information within these guides is just everything that's readily available on the internet, but it's just put in a kind of easy read kind of format for people to understand and to use. So yeah, so we've got another poll. So I think this poll is going to come up in 2 parts. So what features of voice controlled intelligent assistants have you used, tick which apply to you? So this can be either within your personal life or within your professional, because I know there's quite a lot of AHPs out there. So if you've used anything like this.
Okay, it's Wendy. I can see people are still putting their responses in, so I'll just let it run.
Okay.
Okay.
Okey-doke.
Okay, that seems to have stopped, so let's share those results.
So as we kind of expected, about half of is used for using music, radio. Good to see that 22% is using to help them mind for appointments and calendar, and the to-do lists and the relaxation, they are kind of lower in number as well. So hopefully as well, there's another poll going to come up with the other features that couldn't all be added into this poll. So if you could just tick which applies to you. Okay.
Okay, so we're
still here, by the way. What happened? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just close it there and share that.
Okay, so a lot of you are using it for drop calls and videos, the smart home features yet. Other and 50% of you are not using any of the features. Okay, doc.
Great. Well, it's really good to get that information.
Yeah.
So this is you, Emma. Yeah.
Yeah. So this next part of the presentation is looking at the program we've developed whilst working at home during COVID-19 and how we plan to deliver it within our service. So the Enhancing Lives Through Technology project aims to enhance therapeutic work already provided by the Older Adult Mental Health Occupational Therapy Service as part of their self-management and early intervention programs. It aims to support individuals to engage in their instrumental activities of daily living when cognitive impairment and/or mental health condition impacts on daily living. We know this is Dementia Awareness Week, however, this would also be very useful for people that's got a functional illness, so people with anxiety or depression as well. So this programme will also be tailored for them as well. It aims to support individuals as re-established roles and routines that's maybe been lost, and support them to engage in meaningful activity, but most importantly to support their overall mental health and well-being. So just a big red warning there. So what this project doesn't aim to do, this is not to replace care, it's to enhance quality of life of those who are mostly independent within their homes. It isn't to replace occupational therapy assessment and intervention, which would have normally been offered, and it's not to be used as a standalone therapy. I think when we speak about technology, I think the earlier we can get this into people, the better. This is not going to fix everyone, this is not going to help everyone, but if we can get the word out that doing early intervention, the sooner we can get technology in, hopefully people are able to maintain living at home for much longer and more independently.
Yeah, and there's a lot of evidence now about the benefits of early intervention and just getting things in earlier. I suppose for us, it's getting it at the right time and the right place for that person. So we'll still offer, there's still loads of OT assessments that can be offered at different stages, but yeah, this is really focusing on earlier we can work with people, and we think this will have good benefit.
Yeah. So up in NHS Grampian, the programme's going to be aimed for people for the age of 65 who's got a mild cognitive impairment or at the early stages of their dementia, or those under 65 who have a diagnosis of dementia but are open to mental health services, and those reporting mental health changes where their roles, routines and habits are being impacted. And also would like to kind of highlight individuals need to have insight to be able into their changes they're experiencing in order for this to be successful, and the programme is based wholly on a volunteer process. So just like everything else, us OTs, before recommending kind of the technology and devices, people will be fully screened and assessed by the OT team using standardised and non-standardised assessments. Sorry, Helen, you'll need to click on. Yeah, so and at the side there, we've kind of just given again a bit more detail about what instrumental activities are daily living, and where we see this sort of technology to be enhance people's lives the most compared to their activities at daily living.
And I suppose to make it clear, a lot of our referrals come in from maybe the GPs or the nurses that we work with on the team, so we will get a referral in and screen it from there, just if people are wondering how people could maybe access OT or this kind of treatment. But it'll be different in every board. Okay. So the intervention, so Emma's spoken us there through kind of the assessment and the screening. We're looking at IADLs, and it's really focusing on people in the earlier stages for this sort of input. I suppose people might be asking, you know, this is a consumable good, we can go out and buy it, but I think what we've noticed at homes is that often, as Emma said really clearly at the start, you'd often go into the homes and it wasn't being used. People were maybe a bit frightened of it, didn't understand, or maybe not understand actually the benefits of being able to use it. So so for the intervention, they'll have assessments, and from that we'll have developed a profile of, as we, you know, we're identifying what people are maybe having some difficulties with, and have ideas about how we can use kind of this program to support them at home. And individuals will be provided where required and where possible with a voice-controlled intelligent assistant, unless they already have it, and that'll depend on funding on our side. And individuals will be provided with a client-friendly guide. So the guide that that's kind of in the left-hand corner, that's kind of an example of it, and we're still doing some work on this. It's not totally finalized, but that's basically how it looks. And the guide is based on certain sessions, as you can see here. So it's based on 6 kind of sessions, but it could be done over 6, 8, 10 weeks, depending on what's right for that person. And the sessions are around getting used to technology, routines, reminders, sleep, body and mind, importance of activity and keeping connected. And each session is tailored to the individual based on the assessment and the screening, as we'll have kind of developed individual profiles from our OT assessment. So we really, OT's role is to look at function, what the person's doing, what's maybe difficult, and how we can support that. And it'll be based then on what the assessment says, what the person says, and what they need to support their daily routines. And it's kind of, the sessions will flow within those headings, so we'll support them online. So what we're hoping to do is combine this device to support the person with their IADLs to manage their daily life. It's kind of introducing compensatory strategies, as we spoke at the start, in a very graded way. So some sessions might take 2 or 3. Some people might not want any of the sessions. They might only want 1 or 2. Whatever works for that person is what we're going with this. And then each session, as I said, is tailored. So it's really, really focused on what the person needs and based kind of on what's been said from the OT assessment. Said again, each session will be discussed with the individual, tailored to the needs. And what we had found, and if it's appropriate for the person, often having a family or an informal carer there to support can be encouraged, because they can often support the person to use the system when obviously we're not available to. So we do kind of our hour session maybe once a week, and it's often really good to have that follow-up support from family or friend to really get people to use it. And what we want to stress about the guides is we can offer the advice in the guides, but it's just a suggestion, and it's up to the person whether or not they kind of want to use them. It's their choice. And again, it's not intended to act as a carer. It's to enhance kind of quality of life for those. So again, it's, you know, is this support right for this person at this time? Sessions will be delivered via Attend Anywhere. So we'll have done our assessment, our screening, we'll posted the stuff out, then we'll use Attend Anywhere to support the person at home, offering our OT as we would, obviously not face-to-face, but online. And when this isn't just for COVID-19, this is something we hope to continue on in the future. So hopefully sometime in the future we'll be able to go back to some form of kind of home visits and seeing the people that we work with. Then there'll be a 3-month period where we don't see the person, but we'll review them again afterwards and do outcome measures pre and post to see has it been sustained, what's changes, and how much support the person is needing or not needing. And so that's kind of the project as a whole, really looking at early intervention, screening, assessment, how we're going to support them. So kind of some thoughts on kind of moving forward and what we've learned.
Yeah, so some of the things we've learned up in NHS Grampian, we've been really looking the last few years as a service. We've been using different methods on how to evaluate our service, and one of those was using productivity stats. So when we started using productivity stats, we were able to identify that we were only spending around 20% of our clinical time doing early interventions or self-management programs. So, and one of the reasons for this is we're not seeing people early enough, they're not getting their diagnosis earlier, and also the people are not maybe not aware of the initial symptoms of maybe changes to their cognition until it starts really impacting on their activities of daily living. So for example, some of the earlier kind of signs can be, not always are, people becoming less motivated, experiencing anxiety and depression for the first time, difficulties problem solving familiar tasks and more complex tasks that they weren't that came naturally to them before, but these are not kind of triggers to say, oh, there's something going on here, in order for them to go to their GP to get a diagnosis. So this is kind of one of our stumbling blocks up in NHS Grampian, is we're not seeing people sooner, so we need to be looking at ways of how we can change this.
Yeah, definitely. Some of our learning as well is learning the systems. Obviously, we've been working kind of with our governance, and just if people are interested in technology, and I think we believe where we work that it is going to be the way of the future. It's about kind of having these open conversations, and that it is a constant process. You know, anything changes, you have to go back. So it's just, we're still in communication with them all the time about what we can't do, trying to explain our work. So just, you know, making those links in your services are really helpful, and having that time to explain what you're doing, and just starting that conversation about using technology. Are learning very kind of trying to get funding. So we've been applying for some funding, which we've been luckily granted for some of it. So it can be complex. Again, this all takes time, and networking with people has really helped that. So if it's something that you're interested in, or if you've got a project that you'd like to get off the ground, and really kind of making sure you have enough time and taking that time, it's really worth it. And then kind of finding who to link with and where to go for funding.
Yeah, just to kind of highlight there, if it wasn't for us being able to focus solely on this kind of, not solely, but focus on this project a wee bit more, I don't think we would have been able to achieve this, what we've done, develop this programme in this short space of time, because this was always the aim, was to develop some sort of programme. But however, from working at home, we've been able to do that a bit further. And just also to kind of, when you're looking at developing projects, especially using technology, is to kind of anticipate obstacles during the rollout. So we're aware, we did it previously, we're going to start doing it again, but in a more programme format. But it's just to kind of be mindful that the obstacles will come up, and we'll just have to be, as OTs, we're very good at adapting. So we just need to adapt as we see fit.
Yeah, definitely. And just to end, so we're really trying to bring it together, and we've started linking actually with Robert Gordon University, and there's an AHP researcher who works, I think, half-time with Robert Gordon's University and half-time with NHS Grampian, and we've been discussing actually rolling this out as a feasibility study to look at, you know, does this technology, you know, what are the benefits, what needs changed, how can we use it? So we're really thinking about, you know, using technology in the future, and, you know, the role that it can play and how it can develop. I don't know if you have any more to add to that.
And just as allied health professionals, we need to be ensuring that the practice that we're delivering is evidence-based and effective. So because there's not a lot of evidence or studies being carried out, so hopefully this might add to the evidence out there. And there's such a wide scope as well for AHPs to be looking at using technology in different ways, technology and everyday kind of things that you can buy off the shelf. There is a big scope out there, and it's just about being creative, I think, and adapting what we've got.
Adapting it to a practice, and you know, using the policy. So there is now a kind of a Grampian digital policy, there's wider digital policies, so using them, and a lot of the time you'll find you're actually doing the work, it's just maybe transferring it over, you know, capturing the really excellent stuff that's going on. So it's been a really amazing learning curve for us, and we kind of can't wait to develop this further. But I think that's everything we have for today. So thank you all for listening. And if anyone would like more kind of in detailed information, Emma and I are both on Twitter, and our emails are both there, so please get in contact, or if anyone has any advice, and if anyone has any questions now.
Hello, I'm going to try and join you back. Oh, it's Alison and Wendy joining back. So thank you very much, Helen and Emma. There are a few questions coming in, so I'm going to let Alison post that.
Great, thanks very much for that, and we'll try and get through the questions, but if we don't have time to get through them all today, we've got all the questions, and I think you both said that you're happy to link in with people as well. So we've heard from Martin really highlighting as well the expertise of people living with dementia and how keen people might be to be involved in some of the work. Really a comment from him and the people living with dementia across all the different age groups.
Yeah, I'm just actually writing that down. That's an excellent idea. And I suppose as we develop it further, it's something that we'll really look into, getting that information and that advice. And it's the only way to drive these projects forward, definitely. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I've got a note of details and things for people to link up afterwards, so that's great.
Great.
We have a question as well from Jill, who says, we work in South Wales valleys and find one barrier is Wi-Fi black spots. Have you faced this, and if so, have you found a solution?
Yeah, we have faced it, and I think we're in quite a rural area as well, and I think until there isn't really a solution until Wi-Fi gets a bit better, especially in rural communities. It's really difficult, but we've tried our best. I don't really have an answer for that, I'm sorry.
I think not until fibre is rolled out properly, because we're supposed to be going digital in the next 2 years, and then we think everything will work then. But it's not until fibre is rolled out fully, because we do work in some really rural locations, and yeah, we don't have anything simple to help with that. Sorry.
Sorry.
Sounds like the same challenges are being faced.
Yeah. And like we were saying, we're just doing this. So these obstacles, like I was saying, are always going to come up. So it's trying to figure out how we can overcome these. But I think with that one, we need fibre optic broadband.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent, thank you. And Jill was also asking about which outcome measures you've been using.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a great question, because when we started to dig, there's very few for IADLs. So we have a whole list of them. Do you want to start with that? Well, we using the Warwick for mental health and well-being, and we were going to use another kind of mental health one, maybe HADS, to measure kind of mood. But we also want to look at kind of participation. So I can't remember the name of the final one we settled on, Emma.
It's I think it's an American one. It's a habits or something. I can't think off the top of my head, but we can forward on the information that we found, because we've been on Twitter as well, and we asked some questions, kind of what outcome measures is there. But when it comes to kind of, I think there's not a OT specific one that really looks at your instrumental activities of daily living, or that there is something, but it's maybe just not what we're wanting to capture. But as part of the assessments and stuff, post-COVID and hopefully after COVID, it'll be using the LACLs and AMPs, a functional assessment, things like that.
Yeah, when we can go back out to see people, it was the LACLs and the AMPs, and we could develop profiles. And one of the ones we thought about for now is called the Frenchie, and it does look a little bit at IADLs, and we were going to maybe think about doing Likert scales as well, particularly online. But there's one we found that's more specific to the IADLs just recently. But other than that, we've really struggled to find one specific to this that are sensitive enough.
Thank you.
So we can share everything that we've got.
Sorry?
We can share what we've got, what we've found so far.
And it sounds like you're more than happy to have any further discussion around that and look at, so that's brilliant, thank you. And then we've got a question from Dawn asking, do you only ever put this in place if someone has technology already, and would you ever recommend buying the technology?
No, what we've done as well, we've been able to, with the funding that we've received, we've been able to put in the devices. So we've just given them a device. But the majority of the people that we've been seeing, they've maybe already got Wi-Fi in. I can't think off the top of my head where I've had someone that hasn't had access to internet so far.
No, I haven't had
I think it's maybe a discussion that we would just have to approach when it comes to it. Yeah.
We haven't had anyone without Wi-Fi. I can't think of anyone either. And part of the reason for getting the funding was actually for us to put technology in with people, because we were finding that actually more people than we thought had it, but some didn't, and we thought they could benefit from it. So that's why we went for funding, to see if we could start to roll it out and kind of supply the technology, to see if that could kind of increase the numbers that were able to use this and increase the amount of people that can actually have access to this. So, and if they didn't have Wi-Fi, as Emma said, it would just be a discussion we would have with them. Yeah, by getting it in.
Thank you. How are we doing for time, Wendy? We've still got a few questions. Are we okay?
Yes, we still have a few minutes left.
Okay, so the next one from Anne is, have you come across an item of technology that you would avoid for this?
I wouldn't say we had. Not yet, no. I would say try them all.
I think
try them all and see what works.
Yeah, we've been trialing them all, and I think there is some devices maybe better than the others, but I think we need to be a bit mindful that the majority of the people we've came across so far has maybe been using the Amazon Echo, and maybe their family members have been using that. So just to kind of use something that's familiar, and if that person doesn't need it, then it can go to another family member. But I haven't came across anything so far that I would say, well, no or yes.
Yeah, no, me either.
Okay, and then the next question from Joe, who says that it sounds like a really exciting project, brilliant work, thanks for sharing. And Joe's wondering if you've linked with any colleagues in speech and language therapy, because there's really significant overlaps and could be really good opportunities for joint working. Well,
thanks for that, Joe. We're really excited. I'm glad. That's lovely feedback. And we actually haven't. And that's a really good idea. I suppose we kind of kept it in-house with OTs, but we do, I think, with doing kind of more of a study and rolling it out wider, we'll definitely be kind of getting more in contact with other HPs in speech and language, but we'll keep that in mind.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was just going to mention, because we are aware that sometimes when speaking to these devices, can be quite a barrier as well. So we know there is, I think the companies are looking at ways in order for these devices to communicate a wee bit better. So hopefully within the next couple of years, software will be getting updated and it'll be a bit more easier for people to use.
Yeah, user-friendly, but no, that's a great idea.
But, yeah.
Excellent, great. Another one, a question from Adele. How do you know when someone is no longer able to use the equipment?
That's a tricky one. I suppose it would be if people were missing appointments, or maybe not. One of the triggers would be if people weren't updating it as regularly. So things like maybe shopping lists, if it was being kind of plugged out and not used as much. If I suppose family and carers were noticing things like there was maybe food in the fridge that was gone off, or people were kind of losing things around the house a bit more often, so little signs that there's been a change, maybe not managing routine so well anymore. It would just be maybe that, you know, this technology isn't able to support or meet the person's needs at that time.
Great. Okay, thank you. And then there's a couple of comments around the guide sheets, that the easy read guides sound really helpful. So I think people are quite keen if that would be a possibility for them to be shared.
We're still doing some work on them. and I suppose it'll the feasibility study and stuff like that. So the work will definitely be shared, but it'll probably just take a little bit more time, I suppose, with how fast it's been developed. We're still putting the final touches on it, but it's if people keep in contact with us on Twitter, we'll kind of release when these things are going to go out and the work that we can and can't share.
Perfect, and we've got people's contact details who's been asking about that as well. And people are a few other comments for people really keen to link into the work and share their experiences and work that they've been doing as well. So I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think that would be really good, because I think there is pockets of areas maybe utilising this technology, but we need to kind of work together in order so we can build a bit of an evidence base behind it.
And kind of that technology community and kind of learn from each other. It would just benefit the project and its development so much. That would be brilliant.
Excellent, thank you. You've generated lots of discussion, lots of questions, lots of positive comments, so we've got a note of them all, because I think Wendy's making the signal that we're
Yeah, that's great. Anybody's questions who haven't been answered, we've got them all down in the system and we can get back to you. But we are coming to the end of our webinar time today, so thank you very much all of our audience for joining us, and on your behalf I would like to thank our guest speakers. So thank you to Henry Simmons for coming online with us today from Alzheimer's Scotland, and also a sincere thank you to Helen and Emma for sharing all your work and your thoughts with us today. So the webinar has been recorded and you'll receive an email tomorrow with the link with that recording in it. But before you go today, we would love to hear from you again before you disappear. So in a moment on the screen, you'll have an opportunity to share your thoughts about today's webinar, and also to tell us about something that you're hoping now to go away and try out. So from what you've heard today, what are you going to go and do following that? We'd also extend a welcome to join us throughout the rest of Dementia Awareness Week. We've got webinars every afternoon at the same time at 3:30. Tomorrow's topic is about connecting support online resource, which has got lots of practical tips and resources in it. So come along and hear about that. And so have a good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe and stay connected.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.